whether it's insecurity or it's peer pressure. This is what that fear of self-centeredness does to us. And it really inhibits the relationships. Because if you're going to be guided by self-centered in a relationship, you're going to play poker with the other person. I mean, not literal poker, but poker in this sense. You know, everybody throws in their ante. Okay, I'll do this and you do that, right? All right. Well, I'll raise you 2. I will not only do that, but I'll do these other 2 things. If you do these 2 things, okay, I'll see your 2 and I'll raise you 1. You know, it goes up and up, you know, and they start doing a little bit more for each other, a little bit more for each other. What happens? All of a sudden, oh no, now you want too much from me. Now you got too much commitment. And they walk away from it. Because their attitude is no, I can't love you unconditionally. I can't give 2 and 3 and 4 even though you don't put in the pot. But isn't that what relationships are? Do you have one relationship where it's always equal? I don't. You know, where you do something in 24 hours, that other person does something of equal value to you. In fact, that's even kind of, you know, isn't that kind of uncomfortable when you give somebody a gift and right away they're right, nope, I'll give you a gift, equal value. You know, what was that? $10.99. Same thing I spent on their gift. You know, it's like, I don't want to owe you anything. I don't want to owe you anything. But isn't that what good relationships are really about? Trusting enough to owe and to be owed? Self-centeredness doesn't want that. Self-centeredness doesn't want, well, someday, if I do something or they do something for me, they're going to come back to me and want something from me. Unconditional love. No, I can't love that way because then I'll get hurt. And I don't want to get hurt. And then there's even the fear of death. You know, that permeates everything, even when we don't think about it. You know, guys working, or a woman's working, you know, year in, year out, you know, plugging away. All of a sudden stops and thinks, my goodness, I'm going to be dead in 20, 25 years. This is crazy. What am I killing myself? And all of a sudden they go off and they start living the playboy, playgirl life, you know? It's like, what are you doing? And they're saying, I'm having fun. They're not having fun. What are they doing? They're ignoring death. And even young people do it too, right? I'm finding that young people get to the age of being adult, they're wanting to put off being an adult. Look at mom and dad and say, I'm not ready for that yet. I don't want to get into I don't want to be the way mom and dad are because that means I got 50 years and then I die. Put it off. Want to be carefree. Want to have fun. Is that being carefree? Is that having fun? No. It's death. Doesn't matter whether you're 15 or you're 115. Death and the fear of death and facing it all by ourselves, it is lurking either consciously in our minds or subconsciously. That's why we need to be set free from this. We need to be set free from this kind of tyranny, and that's where Jesus Christ comes in. Let's hear those words again that he spoke to Martha. He said, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even though he dies, and whoever lives and believes in me will never die. You see right below that in your outline, there's an extensive paragraph from Paul's letter to the Corinthians. It's a beautiful letter. It says, because of what Jesus Christ did for you, you're a new creation. And he means that. It's not just psychobabble. He says, you're new. You've got a new status before God. He looks at you and he doesn't say, you can't come into my heaven. He says, I want you to come into my heaven. You're ready for it. And here's the interesting thing. And here's the great thing. He says it comes through the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. God was reconciling the world to himself, not counting men's sins against him. Here's the heart and soul of Christianity. You got a new look on life, a new lease on life because of Christ's death and his resurrection. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about whether you're better or worse than somebody else. You don't have to worry that you're going through life alone. You've got the God who has power even over death at your side. That's what you want to focus on. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about being free to do what's most important instead of what's most urgent. It's so interesting. You ever talk to somebody, I'm sure you have, you ever talk to somebody who almost got in a fatal car accident? What are they like? It's interesting. You come to work and somebody goes, I got a new lease on life, right? I was at this intersection, and they tell you how, somebody pulled out and they almost ran them over, whatever. And what do they say? They're different, aren't they? They say, I'm not going to let the little things, stress me anymore. I'm going to smell the roses. I'm going to enjoy life. It'll last for about 15 minutes. But for the 15 minutes, they are different, aren't they? Because they really have a new perspective on life. Well, that's what Jesus Christ offers. If it's true that you do not have to fear death, that death is not the end, if you do not have to fear going through life alone, it changes everything. Jesus shows us what the two most important things in life are, what the two most important, not urgent, but most important things are. He says, He says, love the Lord your God. He says, love other people. Jesus Christ, what was his whole life like? He was always saying, I got to do the will of my Father. I got to do the will of my Father. And you probably, we talk a lot about Jesus obeying the law for us, obeying the 10 Commandments for us, and we think that Jesus had this 10-page notebook, and he went through like, commandment number 1, fulfilled it today, commandment number 4, did that one. And all through the day, he put these little marks. That's not what it was all about. It was all about looking at the person in front of him and saying, what does my Father want me to do? Looking at the day's activities, looking at what he had to say. What does the Father want me to say? That's what serving God is all about. That's what keeping his commands is all about. It's not a checklist. It's not this 1,000-pound monkey that we've got to carry on our backs every day. It's the freedom to do what is important and not worry about what other people say and what other people think. God created you uniquely. He created you the way you are, with your personality, with your talents, with your abilities. He caused you to be born, and this is biblical. He caused you to be born in the place and the time that you were. And all for one reason. Not to be a superstar, not to change the course of history, but to love. To love. You worry so much about having an important life and changing history. God, that's peanuts for God. He uses people that don't even believe in him to change the course of history. What he's worried about, what he's concerned about, what really excites him, is when somebody comes to him and says, God, I love you. I need your forgiveness. I want you to take over my life. And when that happens, that's when the fear begins to dissipate. And that's why I want to encourage you today. If there's something that you've been thinking about doing, some challenge in your life, something that you're afraid of doing, and you have taken it before the Lord. I mean, not just, Lord, do you think it's a good idea? Okay, great. You agree with me, Lord, right? But if you have taken it before the Lord, you have prayed about it, you have wrestled with it, you have talked about it with Christian friends, you've read the Bible, you're convinced that it is a good thing to do, go for it. Go for it. What did Jesus say? And surely I am with you as long as you have good ideas? No. He said, surely I'm with you always, even to the end of the world. Now that doesn't mean that everything's always going to turn out exactly the way you think. Sometimes God changes the plan. Sometimes we get out in front of the plan and God's got to rein us in. But life isn't about ease and comfort and always feeling good. What is it? It's being a tool in the hands of God. And I would especially encourage you to take that attitude as you live with your families. Love unconditionally. Are you going to get hurt? Are you going to get taken advantage of? Certainly. Was Jesus taken advantage of?